Hey, what's up, guys? Your boy Wit, Cronio Media, Knockout Analysis. We're here for Apex UFC Vegas 111, and we're gonna get right into it, man. I'm not gonna waste no time. We got Miles Johns, Daniel Marcos, man. Daniel Marcos, he's 17-1. He just recently lost to Montel Jackson. He tried to cage hug Montel Jackson to victory, in which he was very unsuccessful, man. This is a guy that, like, I think his record is very padded. He fought on a promotion that I don't really know a whole lot about. He's beaten a lot of guys that are John Castaneda, Simon Oliveira, Davy Grant, people thought he lost to. This guy, he has a padded record, but he's fighting Miles Johns. Miles Johns is like, he's like your me hooks type of fighter. He's just gonna go in there and trade. I don't think he's super well rounded. Like, he can be held against the cage, which is pretty much Daniel Marcos's speciality. I think he's gonna, at bare minimum, be able to get out a decision in this. I don't think you're gonna finish Miles Johns. Miles Johns has only been finished by the one and only Mario Batista. I know he got subbed by John Castaneda, who I just shit on. Felipe Lima, John Matsumoto, good fighters in my eyes. I think Felipe Lima would be a better featherweight than bantamweight. But I think this is Daniel Marcos's fight. I think he's gonna win a pretty clear 29-28. I don't see a decision in this one, and that's how I'm gonna analyze this particular bout. The next one I'm gonna analyze is not on ESPN. It hasn't been fully confirmed yet. Well, it has been, but it's not. It's not on ESPN. It's gonna be Zachary Reese versus Moose McVeigh, Jackson the Moose McVeigh out of St. Charles, Missouri. Shout out to whatever the area code is for Missouri. My dad's from there. I should very well know that. And I was gonna pick Jackson McVeigh against his initial opponent, Robert Valentin. You know, and he was, after Robert Valentin pulled out, he was supposed to fight Dante Johnson on a few days' notice, and Dante Johnson just fought last week. Kron and I weren't able to get up a video, and our schedules haven't really aligned, but him and I will be back next week for another video, so stay tuned. But I will be here for the Apex. But continue what I was saying. Zachary Reese, Jackson Moose McVeigh. I expect the odds for this to be around minus 140 Zachary Reese. I think that's fair. I don't think it'll be much more different than that. I expect Zachary Reese to win this fight. Jackson Moose McVeigh, he did fight Bruno Ferreira. Bruno Ferreira is about to fight Martin Vittori for a spot in the rankings. And that's a fight I think he's going to lose. I think Bruno Ferreira is really good. I think he's well rounded, but at the same time, I think Jackson McVeigh showed flaws in those fights. The leg kicks he did not react to very well at all. And he just looked like he was a fish out of water everywhere in that fight. He did not look UFC level at all. I think Zachary Reese is gonna he's gonna go to decision in this one like he did against Dusko. Because I thought he was gonna go out there and finish Dusko pretty easily, and he didn't. And it was a much closer fight than I anticipated. And Zachary Reese is not the guy we thought he was. But this is a fight I think he goes and wins. It might be a war early, and he might go get a knockout within the first 5 minutes of this fight. But I think this is going to go 30-27. Zachary Reese. I think Jackson McVeigh is going to tough it out and get to the end on this. And this may be his last fight, considering some short notice contracts, but I hope they give him another one. I hope they give him the rematch with Valentin, because I think that's winnable for him. I think that he could be a guy that's a staple in the middleweight division. Maybe not the best fighter, but I think he could go out there and at least give entertaining fights like Zachary Reese has. As we move on to the next one, Denise Gomes and Tisha Pennington, formerly Tisha Torres. Tisha Pennington is pretty old. She's lost some fights to some higher level fighters. Her last two fights have been, some would say, impressive. Carla Esparza, former champion, Luana Pinheiro, you know, take that for what you will. I'm not jumping up and down for it. This isn't a fight that I'm going to analyze way too much. Denise Gomez, she's 11-3. She's 11 years younger. She has a longer reach. She's taller. She just knocked out Elise Reed here pretty recently. And she also is on a 3-fight winning streak. This is like one of those fights that I think the odds are fair on. Minus 175, Denise Gomez. I'm going to take her to win it. I don't think this is going to be a fight where there's a finish. I think it could play out very closely. I agree with the line on it. Give me 29-28. Give me Denise Gomez on this one. I don't bet on women's MMA. I don't really bet at all, but I damn sure wouldn't put my hard-earned cash on this fight. And I'm just going to move on to the next one, real quick here with Josh Hokett, and I think it's Max Jimenez. Yeah, it's Max Jimenez. He was signed for this fight. Max Jimenez was. He's been very active in the grappling world. He's very good in the BJJ. From what I've seen on Tapology, I don't have it pulled up right now, but I was reading up on him earlier because I was like, who the hell is this guy? And why is he in the Ultimate Fighting Championship? Josh Hokett, a lot of people are going to disagree with his opinions politically. He goes out there and he says what he believes. And I think it's entirely just to promote him. He is a former San Francisco 49ers fullback as far as practice squad goes. Like, he's not like a starter or anything. But that will lead to the assumption that he is a very good athlete at the bare minimum. He's won 6 straight fights, all of them by finish. And I can't really shit on the guy, so far. He is a huge, huge favorite. I don't really agree with this line. I don't think that, even though that Josh Hokett fought an LFA, I can't really sit here and say that it's like the highest level of competition. This will be his 5th fight this year. I watched that first LFA card where he finished John Lopez pretty easily, and I just think he is relying on his athleticism here. I don't think that Max Jimenez is the greatest athlete in the world. I think that this fight goes on longer. Jimenez, with his grappling experience and his grappling tournaments, will have the advantage if this goes long. But I think that athletically, that Hokett has gonna have a striking, and he's gonna be able to have the more potential to finish this early. So give me Josh Hokett to finish this by TKO. I'm gonna say he does it late in the first round. I think this line should be like around like a minus 200. I wouldn't touch this for the life of me. I think it's a little absurd. But give me Josh Hokett to do what he does, and I think he's gonna say some crazy comments on the mic a little bit after he gets this win here on the prelims of UFC Vegas 111. Next, we got women's bantamweight, and it sucks that Kron's not here because this is his favorite part of the show. And once again, Calvacanti, Myra Buena Silva. Calvacanti is like she's like a minus 280. She's looked very good in her fights from what I've seen. I've kind of in a way been forced to watch her fight. She beat Nora Cornell, Josiane Nunez, Julia Avila. She's not going out here and dominating these fights. She is young, Portugal, but these aren't like the best fighters in the world. I'm not gonna just sit here and say, oh, well, she's a young bantamweight fighter. She's gonna go out here and do this. Like, bantamweight doesn't have any prospects, dude. She can strike. She can grapple as far as lower level women's bantamweight goes, but can she do it at the highest level? And Myra Buena Silva, she's kind of been there and done that. She fought in interim title, and she hasn't really won since. She didn't win the interim title either. She lost to Massey Chasson. She got finished in that fight. Jasmine Jasudavicius. She lost that fight pretty clearly as well. She went down a division to fight that, and I don't know, man. This is like a pretty even fight for me. Like if I was just sitting there and I was tweaking and I had to gamble on something, I would take Mayra Bueno Silva because the odds are plus 234. But this is obviously one I would stay away from. I think Cavalcanti is going to use her youth to win this, but at the same time, Mayra Bueno Silva has fought the best in the world her last few fights. Raquel Pennington should have won her fight against Juliana Pena. Messi Chasson, top 10 ish. Women's bantamweight. Jasmine Jasudavicius, she is top 5. I don't really know what her ranking is, but I think she's a top 5 women's flyweight. The I think the level of competition is higher, for than it would be for Cavalcanti. But give me Cavalcanti to 29-28. I think this could very well be a split decision. And that's all I'm going to say about it. On the featherweight, Hyder Emil, Jamal Emmers. Hyder Emil is a guy that I've been pretty high on, man. He goes into his fights and he absolutely gets into wars. William Gomis, he brought William Gomis, who was like an outside fighter, into a war. He hit Young Lee with like a 36 punch combo and finished him. This guy, I think, is really underrated from top to bottom. He's older. He started fighting a little bit older, but he just went out there and he gets into wars, bro. He's willing to put himself into the fire, and that really did put him in a bad position against Miguel Delgado, who I think got robbed in his last fight. Hyder Emil, I think if he goes out here and he wins this fight in very entertaining fashion, I think he could be in for the rankings, man, because he is 35. And why not? Jamal Emmers, I think he's over the hill. He's fought a lot of fights. Nate Landwehr fight was kind of a war. He was able to get the finish, but it was kind of a war. And he's like a win one, lose one kind of guy for the entirety of the 2020s. And he just won his last one against Gabriel Miranda. Gabriel Miranda isn't like, whoa. He's beating these guys that like Gabriel Miranda, Denis Bajuka, Kasun Azabakov, Vince Cachet. Like, who the fuck are these guys, bro? And Jamal Emmers is long. He has power. He's athletic. But he's also 36 years old and he's taking a lot of damage. He's been finished in 5 of his 8 losses. Hyder Emil's only been finished 1 time. And I think it was just like it's a situation where he just got caught against a very good fighter who could very well be in the rankings. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm going to give Hyder Emil the benefit of the doubt. I think he's going to march forward. I don't think he's going to give a shit about Jamal Emmers' power or skill. And I think he's going to pull it out in his second ever fight, being a favorite. I think he was a favorite against Miguel Delgado, but I think he should be a bigger favorite against Jamal Emmers, man. Give me Hyder Emil at minus 150 by whatever he wants. I think he's going to get the KO here. And the second round, he's going to gas out Emmers pretty early. Next, we got the Cronio Media and the Knockout Analysis main event. I think this fight will be the fight of the night. I have no idea why this fight isn't on a pay-per-view. Yes, I have no idea why this isn't on an actual pay-per-view. Like, this should be like the 5th fight. Like, next week, we have the 2 title fights, right? There's 2 more fights. This should be the 5th fight. Like, this is going to be an absolute fucking war, right? You have 2 very aggressive guys. Marco Tulio is one of the biggest prospects of middleweight. And Christian Leroy Duncan's just an entertaining fighter in general, man. I have no idea what the UFC's been doing with this guy as far as scheduling goes. It doesn't make any damn sense. Why the fuck's he fighting Eric Anders? Eric Anders is done. Eric Anders should be fighting like Dennis Tululin, bro. He should be like scraping out wins against jobbers, bro. Christian Leroy Duncan's the real deal. Andre Pulayev and Andre Pulayev's debut, that's absurd, dude. Of course he's gonna beat Andre Pulayev. It's absurd. He loses to Gregory Rodriguez. Like, I just look at this dude's strength of schedule, and it's kind of concerning, man. Because, damn, the UFC has done him a lot of favors, and he's fighting a bunch of bombs. Dennis Tululin, previously mentioned, Claudio Ribeiro, Dusko Todorovic, and Pulayev and Anders. And I know Petrosyan beat Gregory Rodriguez. He also beat CLD. But it's just like, damn, bro. Christian Leroy Duncan goes out there and he scraps, but he gets finishes. Like, what the hell are they doing with him? And then now they're putting him against Marco Tulio, the shootbox product, who, holy shit, bro. He pieced up and dominated Tresean Gore, right? The Igor Paterio fight wasn't very long, but he pieced up and dominated him, bro. And at this point, man, there's no reason for me to believe that he won't piece up and dominate Christian Leroy Duncan. And Christian Leroy Duncan is very good. I think both of these guys could be heading towards the rankings. You know, he did also, I didn't mention this, Yusri Beligari is kind of a hot topic right now. You know, he's Alice Pereira's teammate. He was a huge underdog against Azamat Bakolov. He pieced up Yusri Beligari. This guy goes out there and he pieces up anybody. He'll hit you in the legs. He'll hit you in the body. He'll punch you in the head. He'll kick you in the head, bro. This guy, he isn't scared of shit. And I think he is very much bound for the rankings. You know, Christian Leroy Duncan, once he loses this, he's going to get absolutely hosed. He's going to get hosed. There's no question about it. He's going to be fighting some bum or some jobber and nowhere near the rankings for that matter. Marco Tulio should be in the position that who's the guy? Bruno Ferreira. He should be in Bruno Ferreira's position. He should be fighting who's the Italian dude? Martin Vittori. He should be fighting Martin Vittori. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember names, you know, the whole entire UFC roster in my head. But Marco Tulio should be fighting Martin Vittori. He should be fighting in the rankings. He should be beating the shit out of Bo Nickel. He should be way up there, dude. Because this guy's entertaining. He's must-see TV. And I don't understand why he's not at least the co-main event. Like, I'd rather have this be the main event than the actual main event of this card. And it makes no gosh darn sense. Give me Marco Tulio by 30-27. I don't think Christian Leroy Duncan's going to get finished, but I do expect this to be an absolute war. I expect both guys to get rocked at some point in this fight. This has all the potential for fight of the year. It's definitely fight of the night in my mind. And that's all I got to say about it. As we move to the next fight, men's bantamweight. Ricky Simone, Rayoni Barcelos, man. Ricky Simone, I think he's been kind of slept on. Like, people call him a jobber and all this. Ricky Simone in the UFC has only lost to the best of the best. Song Yadong, Vinicius Oliveira, Mario Bautista, Rob Font, Uriah Faber. You know, Uriah Faber, a lot of people would say it's a fraud check. I'll just say, it's Uriah Faber, man. Even if it is like old ass Uriah Faber, it's still Uriah Faber, man. You know, Ricky Simone's went out here, won his last two fights. Javid Basharat, nobody expected him to win. As correctly predicted on Knockout Analysis, this might have actually been before the show, but Kron and I talked about this, maybe off the record. I said Ricky Simone was going to be Javid Basharat, and that's all I know about it. You know, Cameron Smotherman was a layup for him. And this man, he deserves another shot, dude. He's very good in the grappling. He's a very intelligent fighter. And I think he was a little young man in his development early in his career, which put him into positions to get finished. As far as Rano Barcelos goes, he beat Payne Talbot. Payne Talbot's made excuses about the fight. Payne Talbot is the UFC's darling boy, you know, and Randy Barcelos went out there and 30-26 to absolutely destroyed him. And then he went out there, beat another one of the UFC's darling boys, Cody Garbrandt, you know, pretty clearly 29-28 at him, much to my chagrin. I would much rather have Cody Garbrandt beat Rowney, but Rowney's came out here. He's a seasoned veteran. He wins fights. He's 20-5 for a reason, man. He's only lost to some of the best guys recently. Victor Henry and Halaviv, I'll close my eyes on that one. Umar Nurmagomedov, Kyler Phillips, Rainer Barcelos. I don't rate him as high as other people do. I think he's like 30 as far as bantamweights go. I think there's better guys. I think Ricky Simone is near the top 15. I think he's younger. I think he's hungrier. I think he's a better grappler. I think his cardio's better. He beat Marab for what it's worth. This guy is good at fighting. I think this line should be a little bit wider. Franny goes out here and I think either of these guys get a finish. They could be fighting for a top 15 spot. I'm going to say Ricky Simone wins this. I like the minus 175 line. I would take that every single day of the week. I'm going to say against a TKO late in this one, man. Give me a third round TKO. Ricky Simone, man. People forget. Speaking of people forget, man, we got men's lightweight next. Doesn't really even make sense because neither of these guys have done anything too memorable in the sport. We got Ismail Bonfim, whose brother is the main event, Gabriel Bonfim, and Chris Padilla. Chris Padilla had one half of the worst fight of the year with Jai Herbert. It's by far one of the worst fights this year between these two. They probably landed like 10 strikes each per round. It was a staring contest. The people of London were not very appreciative, man. And dude, it's just like, dude, you beat Yamas Lonsop, bro. Rongju, I think Rongju's decent. And then Jai Herbert sucks. Weenie, bro. Like Jai Herbert, this guy is not a UFC caliber guy. Like, I get it. Like, he's just not a UFC caliber guy, bro. I'm not even gonna try to justify my statement. If you think Jai Herbert's a UFC caliber guy, excuse me, argue with me in the comments, bro. That guy sucks, penis. And Chris Padilla went to a very close decision with him. Ismail Bonfim has went out here and he's fought killers. He's athletic and he's a dog, bro. He's lost to Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis, I don't think he's a top 15 level guy. Granted the fact that he is in the top 15, I don't think he is. I think he's Benoit Saint Denis is a wiener. Losing to Benoit Saint Denis. Nazim Sadakov's a very good fighter. He beat Vink from Hell, Pichel, Terrence McKinney. I think Ismail Bonfim's gonna do enough to be able to beat a Chris Padilla. I will say this line is kind of absurd. There's no way Ismail Bonfim, with his wins and his fight style and his track record, should be at minus 200 per ESPN. I think he should be like a minus 150, minus 160. Wouldn't gamble on him to win this fight, but I think he's going to win. I think he's going to show levels to Chris Padilla. I think he's going to be very dominant in the grappling department in this one. I expect a 30-27 decision on this. Much to people's chagrin. I know people want to see finishes, but that'll bring us to our next fight, which I expect to finish in, Earl Smitic, Muslim Salikov. I like the line on this one, for the record. I've shit on a lot of lines. Minus 170, Earl Smitic. I can't say I dislike it. He's looked good in a lot of his UFC fights. So he's 32. Muslim Salikov's 41. He went out there and he beat Gilbert Urbina, Tim Means, Tim Means old as shit, Matthew Simmelsberger. He's finished all of his fights. And if he's going to win this fight, I expect it to be a fight finish. One concern I do have One reason why I wouldn't want to bet this fight is Eros Medic got absolutely flatlined by a two. It was a 1-2 from Punero Suriano. He got flatlined by it 30 seconds into the fight. And Gilbert Urbina hit him with the same 1-2 and hit Eros Medic with a knockdown. I think Eros Medic needs to employ some head movement, or Muslim Salikov more than definitely has the power to hit him with the same combo. Muslim Salikov, king of Kung Fu, seasoned veteran. I shit on him in his last fight. I thought he had no chance against Carlos Leal. I think if that fight happens, Carlos Leal, Muslim Salikov, Carlos Leal wins 9 times out of 10. I just think he got caught. I just think he was way too confident, and he gave this guy no respect. This guy's 15 knockouts for a reason. He's nice on the feet. He deserves the respect of the martial arts community. But at the same time, he's 40. He's beaten Song Kanon. Song Kanon's chinny. I think he robbed Ponzinibbio. But this guy could very well be, in my mind, look at his last fights. He could be 1-4 in my mind, I think Carlos Leal was a flash in the pan. I think Song Kanon's chinny. I'll give him that win. I think he lost to Ponzinibbio. I think he's 1-4. I'm going to do some MMA math and some disrespect here. I think this guy's record for his last 5 fights is a lot better than he deserves. And I think Eros Medic, the -170, I think it's warranted, man. I'd be a little bit sketched out about it, but -170 it's a fair price to pay, dude. This guy's younger. He has a longer reach. He's taller. And I think he's going to realize the risk in this one. He's training out of Alaska. Give me Eros Medic to finish this fight. He's power in his hands and he has the youth. He's going to finish Muslim Salikov here in the first round. As we move on to the next fight, this is a line I've looked at for some time. I don't really get this one. This is the co-main event. We got Matt Schnell and Joseph Morales, man. Joseph Morales, I didn't get a chance to talk about it earlier because Valentin was not able to fight. But if you've been paying attention to the show, you know how I feel about the Ultimate Fighter. The Ultimate Fighters, the guys they bring out of there, they're never really that good. This guy was in the UFC before. Davison Figueiredo was obviously one of the greatest flyweights ever. He lost to Eric Shelton, bro, whoever the hell that is. And this guy was Alibi Adiris. Was a he was a 5-1 favorite against this guy. And I know that Joseph Morales went out there and subbed him. I know he went out there and did what he wasn't supposed to do, and I respect that. But how in the absolute fuck is he going to be a 4.5-1 favorite against Matt Schnell? Matt Schnell's a former top 10 flyweight, right? I know Matt Schnell's super chinny, and this guy's been knocked the fuck out. His head's bouncing off the canvas. But Joseph Morales hasn't had a knockout victory since Kron and I were in high school, dude. Since 2017. That wasn't even in the UFC, bro. Since 2017, March 2017, I was a high school senior, bro. And I don't think he's going to go out there and finish Matt Schnell, man. I don't think he's going to knock him out. Matt Schnell's been submitted as well. He got submitted by Cody Durden late 2024. He got submitted by Brandon Royval. And he got submitted early in his career, well over 10 years ago. But I think those are higher level guys, dude. I just do not see how he is such a big underdog. I think Matt Schnell's going to win this fight. Jimmy Flick, he's a local guy here out of Oklahoma. He trains in Broken Arrow here at Forza Combat. That guy has 15 submissions on his record. Jimmy Flick does, He goes out there and submits guys. He submitted Cody Durden. How am I going to say that Matt Schnell is going to get subbed in a fight that he's prepared for? And I will say the Matt Schnell-Cody Durden fight was short notice. Matt Schnell was prepared to fight somebody. I don't remember who it was. but it wasn't Cody Durden. He is prepared to fight Joseph Morales. Joseph Morales, man, I don't really think he's on UFC level. I think a lot of the guys that come in off the Ultimate Fighter aren't on UFC level. I think Machinell is going to have a people forget performance here. He's going to have like a 30, 27, 29, 28. People are going to call him to be in the rankings. I'm not going to do that. I just think Joseph Morales is not that good. Plus 325 is insane value on match. No, give me him to win this fight outright, dude. I'm not even gonna say it's valuable. It's just like it's just disrespectful, this line is. And that's all I'm gonna say about it. And I'm honestly gonna kind of echo the same thing. You know, it's obviously not a plus 325 line, but it's a plus 150 line for Randy Rude Boy. Who does that to Nicholas Dolby? Nobody does that to Nicholas Dolby Brown versus Gabriel Bonfim. Listen, man, Gabriel Bonfim was 27 years old and he fought a 42-year-old Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson pieced him up and dominated him. And he somehow lost. I have no idea how he lost it. Like Gabriel Bonfim was hugging this guy up against the cage, dude. But dude, in open space, bro, he's getting pieced up and absolutely dominated. Wonder Boy did way more damage, bro. He rocked him in the fight. I have no idea. It was a clear 29-28 to me, bro. It was a robbery. And Stephen Thompson should still be in the rankings, man. It's unbelievably disrespectful what they did to him. You know, he was the number 11 ranked guy, and they have him out of the rankings off of a robbery, dude. But I'm not even like a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fanboy. But it's just like Gabriel Bonfim didn't win that fight. And I was really high on Gabriel Bonfim going into that. I picked him to lose. But I didn't think he would, type shit. Damn, he got pieced up and dominated. I was like, damn. People forget, man. Stephen Thompson, man. He's been doing this for like it just blew my mind how they did him like that. And it's just hard for me to pick this guy after he got pieced up and dominated by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, The Chaos Williams fight, Ange Lusa. But those guys are jags, man. They're just guys, bro. And Nicholas Dalby knocked him out, man. And Randy Rude Boy Brown. Randy, nobody does that to Nicholas Dalby Brown. MMA math. Knocked the fuck out of Nicholas Dalby. He pieced him up, man. And I was saying, going into that fight, I'm like, man, Randy Brown and Nicholas Dalby, they're just kind of like top 20 welterweights. They're never going to be ranked in that top 15, but damn, I was wrong. Randy Brown went out there and pieced up and dominated Nicholas Dalby. He could have very well won that fight against Brian Battle. There's going to be somebody. Oh, well, Randy Brown, he got held against the cage against Brian Battle. Gabriel Bonfim, he's going to do it. He's going to do it, man. Brian Battle showed up like 6 pounds overweight on the fight. So how are you going to sit here and say that it's going to happen with Gabriel Bonfim? Gabriel Bonfim shows up 6 pound overweight. This main event's off. Or, I don't know, man. They might not do that. But it's just like, that's not going to happen in this fight. Gabriel Bonfim isn't going to show up 5 to 6 pounds overweight. Jack Della Maddalena, people are going to say shit about how are you going to get submitted against Jack Della Maddalena, who's predominantly a striker. That was a club and sub, bro. And Jack Della Maddalena is the champion. So how are you even going to shit on that loss, Prime Vicente Luque, how are you even going to shit on that loss, you know what I'm saying? Randy Rude Boy Brown's going to piece this dude up. He's going to dominate him. Gabriel Bonfim, very padded record. Very mediocre fighter from top to bottom. I don't really have a whole lot of respect for this dude. And I think he's going to get finished here. And I think he's going to get finished in the second round, dude. I don't think this fight's going to go the full 5. I really like that this is a 5-round fight. You're promoting these two up-and-coming fighters. So give me Rude Boy Brown by second round TKO. I love the plus 150. If you have $20, bet the $20. This is not gambling advice. None of this throughout this whole entire video has been gambling advice. I'm just saying stuff that I think is entirely malarkey and what I don't think is malarkey, what I think is accurate. So if you gamble on this and you lose money, don't blame me. I'm just a guy talking on a headset. At the end of the day, this is all I have to say about this card. UFC Vegas 111 in the UFC Apex. Next week, Kron and I will be back for UFC 322, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. We will be watching that good CP as he takes on Leon Edwards, man. I am super stoked for the card. Kron's super stoked for the card. And you best believe that we will be tapped in for that event. Stay tuned for any future videos we have. We might be having some non-card related videos, some non-predictions, and maybe even some non-interviews. So it'll be kind of a surprise, man. Just stay tapped in. Always like, always subscribe, and as always, watch out for the deer.